the house where food was laughed at. In the golden corner of Morsel Cities, behind the big mango tree and the red-painted fence, stood the house of Madame Aduke. Her house was known far and wide, not because it was the biggest, but because her pot always smelled like fried stew, goat meat, and spicy okra soup. Rich people greeted her with respect. Children from the street would stop just to sniff the aroma when they passed her window. But Madame Aduke was not known for kindness. No, her name came with fear. Her workers called her Madame Hunger behind her back, because in her house you could work, but you would not eat. She had one maid. Her name was Awella, a young girl from a small village near the edge of the river, brought to Morsel Cities by a distant cousin. Awella came with nothing but a wrapper, an old pair of slippers, and a torn Bible in her nylon bag. She was only 15. Her parents had died during a flood that swallowed their hut. When Awella first entered Madame Aduke's house, she was hungry and hopeful, but quickly she learned the rules. You wash clothes, you sweep, you fetch water, you clean toilet. But my food, eh? Don't look at it, Madame Aduke warned with sharp eyes. You are not my child, you are not even my dog, so don't dream of tasting my soup. Awella said nothing. She only nodded and bent her head. Please don't forget, if you're loving this video, go ahead and tap that subscribe button. It's free, and it helps us bring you more awesome content. Don't forget to turn on the bell so you won't miss a thing. We're so happy to have you with us. And if you're enjoying what you're watching, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community. Don't forget to click the bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Thanks, I continue. Awella said nothing. She only nodded and bent her head. Each morning, Madame Aduke would cook up a feast. Beans with fried plantain, yam porridge with dry fish, egusi thick like river mud. Have her cold gari and salt, sometimes just plain water and groundnut. The worst part? Madame would laugh while eating in front of her. See you, she would say. Even your stomach knows you are poor. The neighbors knew, but said nothing. They feared Madame. After all, she had money, and she gave gifts to the local church. But what they didn't know was this. Awella had never cursed her boss, never complained, never stole food. Every night, after sweeping the compound and scrubbing the veranda, she would kneel beside the drum in the backyard and whisper into her hands, God, if I ever taste good food in this life, let me never deny someone else the same. Then one night, the night the moon hid behind thick clouds, something strange happened. Awella went to dump dirty water behind the house, near the banana tree. But as she poured the water, she heard a voice. Why don't they feed you, child? She turned quickly. A small old woman sat near the dustbin. Her wrapper was red. Her eyes glowed slightly in the dark. Awella stepped back, frightened. I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. But the woman only smiled. Your hunger has been noticed, she whispered, and your heart will soon be full. But remember, when the table turns, don't laugh the way they laughed at you. Then the old woman vanished, just like mist. Awella stood there shaking. She looked around. No footprints, no gate opened, no doors moved, only the wind answered. That night, she couldn't sleep, and by morning, Awella was gone. Just her wrapper and the Bible on the small mattress by the kitchen. Madame Aduke screamed. She kicked the pot. She called the neighbors. She shouted, she has run, stolen something, that girl was a thief. But nothing was missing. No spoon, no wrapper, not even a matchstick, only silence. And that was the beginning of the strange hunger that would soon visit Madame Aduke's house. Why did Awella vanish? Who was the old woman? And what strange hunger is about to strike Madame Aduke? Madame Aduke could not rest. From the moment she found Awella's bed empty, her house became quiet, too quiet. The same compound that once bubbled with laughter, footsteps, and water splashes now felt like a funeral ground. No one was there to sweep, no one to fetch water, no one to boil water for her bath or grind pepper for her thick egusi soup. At first, Madame was angry. Let her go, she hissed. She will suffer outside. Nobody will feed a poor, dry-looking village girl like her. But as the days passed, her anger turned into discomfort. Then discomfort turned to fear. Strange things began happening in the house. The gas cooker began to hiss on its own. The food she cooked tasted bitter, like ash, even though she used the best seasoning. Her 2 big pots cracked in one night. Her kitchen smelled like something dead. One night, she was frying plantain when she heard a whisper in her ear, "Now you cook, but who will serve you?" She turned around sharply. Nobody was there, only the smoke rising from her frying pan. Madam didn't sleep well that night. In her dream, she saw Ellie sitting under the mango tree, dressed in white, smiling and surrounded by butterflies. "Madam," Dream Aweli said, "how does hunger feel in the heart?" Madam Aduki woke up sweating. She rushed to the church the next morning. "Pastor, that girl was possessed." But Pastor Ezekiel only frowned. "You say she worked for you, but you didn't feed her?" "I gave her water," Madam shouted. "But even dogs get leftover soup," the pastor replied quietly. The shame started spreading. Rumors grew wings and flew around Morsel Cities. "Did you hear? Her maid disappeared. I heard she starved the girl till she ran away. They say the girl spoke to a spirit, but nobody knew where Aweli went. Until one day, 3 years later, Morsel Cities woke up to a surprise. New billboards appeared all over town, tall ones, shiny ones. They all said one thing: Aweli's kitchen, taste that humbles kings. People were confused. Who was this Aweli? Until one woman from Ebele Crescent shouted at the top of her voice, "Ah, that's Madame Aduki's former maid. I know her." Yes, it was her. The girl who once ate cold Gary under the stairs now owned the biggest food business in the city. 5 restaurants, 2 factories, a bakery, and her own cooking show on TV. People said she was discovered by a foreign woman who tasted her cooking at a bus stop and invested in her talent. Others said she met a spirit in the night who gave her a magical recipe, but no one really knew. All they knew was this: Aweli was now Madame Aweli Gold, and she fed thousands every day. Meanwhile, Madame Aduke's business began to fail. Her tenants left. Her landlord chased her out. Her bank account went dry. Even her friends stopped picking her calls. One day, she found herself standing in front of Aweli's golden restaurant, barefoot, hungry, and broken. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. And when she looked up, she saw a glowing signboard. "We serve everyone. No one is too poor to eat here." Madame Aduki's knees trembled, but she walked inside. And who stood at the counter? Aweli. Dressed in lace, head high, smile soft, the same girl who once cried while washing her spoons. Madame's lips shivered. "Aweli, please, can I just have a small plate of rice?" Aweli looked at her. Her voice was calm. "Of course, madam. Please sit, let me serve you." But her eyes said more. She remembered. And as Madame Aduki sat down, the restaurant grew silent. Because every worker, every customer, and every spoon in that place carried a memory. Will Aweli forgive her completely? Will Madame learn her lesson? Or is the final twist still waiting? Madame Aduki sat quietly in Aweli's restaurant, her eyes darting around the golden-painted walls, the neat uniforms of the staff, the calm music playing in the background. It was too beautiful, too clean, too unlike the world she had once ruled with pride and pepper soup. Aweli walked over slowly, carrying a silver tray. On the tray was a steaming plate of jollof rice, 2 juicy pieces of chicken, fried plantain, salad, and a chilled glass of zobo. Aduki's stomach grumbled before the tray landed. She looked up at Aweli, her voice shaking. "Why are you serving me? After everything I did to you?" Aweli smiled gently. "You didn't give me food, madam, but you gave me fire," she said softly. "And fire, when it doesn't burn you, can make you cook." Aduki blinked, confused. Aweli placed the tray in front of her and added with a deeper voice, "I was just a maid to you, madam, but to God and destiny, I was a seed." Madame Aduki began to cry. Tears rolled down her face like hot oil. She picked the fork, but her hands trembled. Aweli called one of her workers and said quietly, "Give her a napkin. Let her eat in peace." The staff stared in silence. They had all heard the story. They had seen the photo on Aweli's old room wall, her kneeling by a drum at night, wearing rags. Aweli walked back to her office, but her heart was not at rest. Inside her chest, old wounds reopened. She remembered those nights she would sleep on the floor, with hunger like a drum beating in her stomach. She remembered how Madame Aduke once poured hot water close to her feet just because she forgot to buy Maggi. She remembered the days she almost chewed soap because it smelled better than the Gary she was given. But she also remembered the old woman with glowing eyes, the one who gave her a chance, who said, "When the table turns, don't laugh the way they laughed at you." So Aweli didn't laugh. She fed her enemy. Because revenge is hot, but kindness served cold lasts longer. The next day, Aweli called her personal driver and sent a food package to Madame Aduke's small room in the outskirts of Morsel Cities. Inside the bag was rice, yam, oil, salt, and a note. Now you will never sleep hungry again, but let the hunger of your heart teach you to be human. People all over the city started hearing the story. The maid that became a queen, the boss that became a beggar. Some laughed, some cried. Others just shook their heads and said, "Life is cola nut. You don't know if it will taste sweet or bitter until you bite it." But something strange happened too. Every time Aweli walked past the banana tree behind her restaurant, the same kind of tree that once stood in Madame Aduke's house, she would hear a faint voice. "You remembered. That is why your pot will never run dry." She would turn, but the tree would only wave gently in the wind. Will Madame Aduke truly change? What happens to Aweli's growing empire? Will the spirit woman ever appear again, looking for hearts to bless? Some say she lives inside the wind that blows when the first pot of soup boils. But one thing is true. The maid they refused to feed became the mother of 1,000 mouths. Moral lesson of the story: never look down on the hungry, for today's maid may carry tomorrow's crown. And in the Morsel Cities, the pot that serves all never runs dry. Please don't forget to. If you're loving this video, go ahead and tap that subscribe button. It's free, and it helps us bring you more awesome content. Don't forget to turn on the bell so you won't miss a thing. We're so happy to have you with us, and if you're enjoying what you're watching, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community. Don't forget to click the bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Thanks.